Okay, today I have the pleasure of speaking with Juan Rivero, and he's with Hydros and is an owner of some other companies too. And look, Juan, I'm just super excited to speak with you today because you have revolutionary stuff you're doing in the water space, and that is actually life-saving stuff. And I'm excited to talk to you. So thanks for taking the time.
No, pues Warren, thanks for the invitation. Excited to be here.
Awesome, awesome. So can you just tell me a little bit about your company first, if you don't mind, and how you got into this business? I would love to hear some background.
Yeah, sure. So my background, I'm an industrial engineer. Went to Barcelona while in college. I had a good teacher. He was working with Repsol back in the day on water space. So that's when I started thinking about like the water space. And at the same time, a friend of mine called me about a project in Mexico, which was basically setting the grounds for when I was gonna be coming back. That had to do with energy with water. It was basically a project for biodigesters to create energy from the methane that wastewater is produced. So that caught my attention. I went back. That's how my journey started working with that idea. That idea, we didn't manage to get it going. It was a $5 million project. Back then, I was 21 years old. So that got us in front of uh, a company that was selling in the time in Mexico and was starting enzymes and bacteria. So that's what got us going. We just started commercializing bacteria and enzymes to bio-augment wastewater treatment plants.
Wow. Okay. That's super interesting. I also like it. So you're 21 years old. You're trying to do this revolutionary thing, which has a lot of potential. You have a partner. So how do you and the project didn't go as planned, right? Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah,
So tell me about
yeah,
that.
probably
Like, how
like,
do you get through that? Like, how do you get through the first one and say, well, we learned a bunch of stuff, but it didn't go like we wanted it to go?
yeah, probably looking back, like it's a lot of lack of planning, being young, like we were very eager just to start racing and doing a lot of stuff, just uh, going for it, not thinking and planning accordingly. So that's what got us with a big project and then to the bio augmentation. But I would say like where I was lucky on the journey, I met a lot of people that I learned a lot from. So this, as I mentioned, started with bio augmentation and enzymes. And pretty quickly after that, I met, I will say, one of my first mentors. His name is Felipe. So his background is more academia. So that helped me understand like the methodology and how there's a process to tackle uh, water projects. Because water, it's all over the place. Like every water project, you're gonna see that it has different variables. You can look at talking about oil and gas, produce water from a well. You drive 1, 2 miles away, and it's gonna be completely different.
Hmm.
Same in a manufacturing facility in Mexico. One that does avocado, it's going to be different from one that does beans. So there's a process, that methodology that you need to be very academia, scientific approach to have it right. So I think that was luck on our side, like to start working with Felipe. And so basically, we started looking at solutions-oriented approach with customers more than selling products because of this variation with the water and being more agnostic to technology and method-oriented towards a result. So that was my first mentor. We started doing EPC and engineering with water companies. Basically, our added value proposal to our customers was we come in, we do a water diagnostic, we see what you have, what you have is basically we need some lab testing to see your data. And based on that data, we can design a solution with all the technologies that we have already known and the people that we were working with. So it's same as when like someone goes to the doctor, it's very hard for someone to tell you how to fix your wastewater. You need data and you need analysis. The wastewater is usually composed of biological, chemical, and different type of contaminants. So that's key, right? Like having that process and that methodology to solve that wastewater. So
I love that you are talking about, first of all, talking about a mentor and gaining a lot of knowledge. And then you mentioned solving so there's a problem there, and the problem is with wastewater and how to clean it basically and make it usable again. Is that correct?
Yeah. Like driven by compliance and regulation, I would say in Mexico when I started.
Sure.
Now I will say driven by return of investment. It's a good investment investing in wastewater treatment, and by scarcity in some places.
Yeah, water's a commodity in a lot of places that is a limited resource. So I love that. So and it's fun how you talked about, hey, this was an environmental regulation thing where so it's compliance first. Now it's about we can actually give you a return on investment and get you this valuable resource, water, because I know it's the most without water we're dead we're dead in the water, I guess. You can't be dead in the water if there's no water, I suppose, but it's a good saying, right? So
Yeah.
without water though, you can't live, and your company or whatever can't function. So how did you develop custom solutions? That sounds hard if you're growing a company. How'd you manage to break through that?
It was a lot through partnerships. So I guess where we're good at and what we managed to do is identify proven track record technologies and solutions, understand the solution and what specific wastewater it tackles. And with all these partnerships and agreements, that's when we went with a customer. And once we understood the wastewater, then we see who of our partners have the right solution for this specific case. So it's a lot like we've always been a lean company, like in-house, we've been a couple of collaborators, but we work with a lot of experts around the water space. Like to be experts, it could be technology owners or solution providers. So it's about integrating the right technologies, the right teams. And I guess that's what we've been good at doing, like being able to identify what's needed and bringing the right people for the job.
I think that's brilliant. I also appreciate that as an engineer, you're talking down to my non-engineer level. But sometimes the hardest things are the simplest things in that you're like, okay, we have limited amount of resources. So what we're going to do is find the right partners that have the knowledge base or the people or the money or the tech that is going to be complementary to our business, and then we can help each other and we can both grow. Would that be correct?
Yeah, that would be correct. And also I haven't seen in water like a one solution fits all. So, and there's a lot of people out there claiming they have the technology that solves all the water problems and all the wastewater. To be honest, I've never seen one technology that can tackle all the wastewater problems.
Yeah, it varies by, you got to know what the chemistry is first, correct?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the water space, like it's a lot working with other people, collaboration. There's a lot fun doing that. Like I'm a very social person, so I like working with others.
I love it. So how do you tell a good potential partnership from one that maybe is not beneficial? What do you look for?
It takes time. Like first, like understand the technology. Like you can see the technology, the case studies, the data, but there might be some times where like it's a great technology and there's just not the good match or fit with a team or the technology owner. And across my career, I've been in front of many good technologies, where the technology developer was either lack the skills, or many other times I've seen like they don't trust a third party with their technology, so they're very apprehensive, and that basically limits their growth. So and that takes time, right? Like getting to know these technology companies and these technology owners takes some time. So I will say like we've spent a lot of time with technologies that we didn't go anywhere, and the other ones, it's relations that we built over many years now, and we're very grateful, and it's technologies that the technology performs, and the team behind we now know for many years, and they they're good to work with, and they're like honest, and they do what they say.
Isn't it funny? It all comes down to integrity. Like I have to have people that are honest, that do what they say, that show up, that have the right attitude, and the rest will work itself out, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. So tell me about leadership. You're leading a team. You've got this wonderful idea that could literally change the world. Um, how do you lead this team, or how do you find the team to lead through to the goal? Like how do you find the right people, and how do you lead them?
Because it's been a lot like same way as I learned by mentors. I've tried to apply the same with the people that work with me. I try to be there for them as a mentor and let them learn, just like providing them the tools that they need. So, like as a leader, I'm more in favor of mentoring rather than like the micromanagement approach. So the same with the water, since there's so many variations and different type of projects, then you basically provide them the tools and the basic know-how, and they start becoming experts in different types of water projects.
That's
So that's
great.
worked quite well. For example, we did a project that required a lot of water monitoring and water metering. So a guy in our team, his background, he used to be in a water lab testing background. So basically, he raised the hand. He said like he knows about that specifics. He liked the project. So basically, we just like set the stage and provided tools for him to lead that specific project.
I love it. So I agree. Like building trust, having some people that you can trust, and allowing them some creativity and problem solving ability, and giving them a chance to potentially solve a problem or maybe fail, but still having that trust and learning from the project seems to be key to growth. Now,
Yeah.
doing that is sometimes easier said than done. Some folks they have trouble letting go, or they don't trust the people, or when they actually do fail, then they don't react properly. Have you seen that situation?
Yeah, happens all the time.
So talk to me
Then,
about. Go ahead, please.
yeah, and this was like continuing like the path, and to give you more context on what I was talking about mentorship. I guess when we were doing this, like I was like probably 26, 27, an opportunity came through, which was a little bit different than water. It was solid waste. So it was with a municipality that we worked before in the water space, and there was a need for them to take care of their solid waste. And a friend of mine, like I will consider my mentor, also brought this project over. So this was a different type of mentor, right? Like was not academia. He was more his background. He's a lawyer,
Hmm.
and I will say the municipal solid waste would tends to be a little bit more, I will say, political than technical.
Okay.
And those are different set of skills. So I was now in front of a new partner slash mentor, where I was learning more the strategic aspects of like uh, thinking about the law, and like a concession that like you have to think about long term, and lobbying with different government entities and representatives to push a project like this, like a long-term project. So that was a project that we got a waste concession in Mexico for 3 years. The idea was to recycle waste rather than dispose of it. So that was a really interesting experience as well. And I learned a lot from a different type of mentor, which was much different from Felipe, which was academia. It was more like a legal strategy and basically lobbying and PR.
That makes so much sense to think about how to navigate. Everything has some politics in it, whether it's a corporation or whether it's something that's a municipality or a state or something where you've got different people that have different interests and influence, and to try to figure out the right way to go through that requires some finesse and takes some practice, right?
Yeah.
I also love that. I've never heard anybody say solid waste is political before. And I think it's awesome because political is solid waste in some cases too. I mean, so anyway, that's a bad joke, but there is.
Yeah.
Some politics is pure solid waste, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
talk to me about. So I want to get to the point because we talked about this briefly last time, and I want to hear about thinking about how in the United States we treat water more from like, okay, we have a water treatment plant in Houston or wherever, and the water goes there and it gets treated and then goes back out, et cetera. And you talk a lot about having water treatment sort of more on site. And I think this is pretty revolutionary. It's a paradigm shift for people in the United States and for probably other countries as well to think about this in a different way where you treat it on site and it's actually cost benefit positive, it's better resource allocation, et cetera. So I gave you a long question there, but I would love to hear about that because it kind of blows my mind and I hadn't thought about it this way before.
Yeah, but if you think about it, like there's a lot of cost for the centralized approach that you won't have when you do it decentralized. Starting with like distribution of the water, right? Like probably when you compare like how much it costs to treat on a high volume, big scale versus a decentralized small system, the cost of treating one against the other is much higher, decentralized, but you're not going to have all the cost for distributing the water. You're going to have to pay for all the expense of energy to push that water to the centralized facility. So that's where like the scale starts changing. And then when this water, you can treat it and reusing, because that's where you're saving a lot of money on either buying new water or having to send it to a third party. So I think that like that's gonna be one of the game changers. And then the municipalities, there is just not enough capacity anymore to be able to treat all these wastewaters. So you're finding more and more the municipalities pushing on the customers, on the industrial facilities, to either start adding pre-treatment or have to look for elsewhere to send their water. So we've seen a lot of customers that because of this, they are now forced to haul their water to specialized sites. And that's very costly. Like if we see a customer that is hauling wastewater off and paying for that, that's definitely a project for us to get in, and the customer will get a very nice return on investment.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and then they don't have to deal with all the logistics of that and actually putting pollutants in the air by driving trucks around with water in it or however you're going to ship it. Like it all takes money and time and people, and so I could see how there'd be significant savings. What's your biggest challenge right now that you're dealing with in your business?
Our next step is we're raising an investment vehicle. So the idea is for people to invest in water assets, and these assets will be working with end users to help them convert their wastewater into reusable water. So I guess the challenge is there's a not much information or education from like financial institution and investors around the water and wastewater and the opportunities. So that's something that we're doing, like just talking to people, educating them on how it's something that is needed because of like scarcity and other stuff that we've talked about. Talking about how water, it's the price of water has been increasing much more than inflation.
Oh,
And talking how there's this technologies out there that they're proven. There's many case studies, and it's just we're changing the way of doing it so that people, instead of having to buy the assets, it could be water as a service through contracts, which is what we're raising money for.
okay.
Oh,
So the water becomes an investment, or not the water. The treatment becomes an investment that has a good return for an investor. Is that correct?
Yeah, an investor can invest in a water asset. It's usually a machine made of stainless steel or reinforced plastic. It's going to last 30, 40, 50 years with the right maintenance. And this machine will be working for a contract with an end user that could be a manufacturing facility, oil and gas company. So the asset is going to be creating a really good return on the investment for the investor. And it's going to, at the same time, create a lot of savings for the end user. So it's a win-win for everyone.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's funny. I'm guessing that when people think about investing, everybody's thinking about tech right now, and because of the fast movement of tech and AI, et cetera. But in fact, I didn't know that water prices were raising faster than inflation. That's a big wake up factor right there, and scarcity, like you said. If you're talking about California or some of these other states that are just short, they're going to be short on water.
Yeah, the type of investor that we're like seeing has a appetite for this is not the kind of guy that is looking for a home run with a software or tech. It's not a tech play or hardware. So it's more an investor that is looking to invest their money in an asset that it's a low risk because the asset lasts a long time. The asset, the utilization, it's water. So I believe these assets will be needed more and more every time. And in a certain way, it's inflation and proof and resilient. One, because water, like the statistically has been increasing more than inflation. And then resilient because it's like in most cases, it doesn't go with economic cycles. Water is needed like yes or yes.
Yes. No, that's brilliant. All right. So who's your ideal customer?
Any manufacturing facility where we have an added value from a technology standpoint is waters that have oil and suspended solids. That's where we bring in like a technology that is very, very competitive. Even though as a group, we're also working, as I mentioned, with technology partners that are in the space of, for example, sanitary wastewaters. Water from the toilet, it can be treated to very high qualities. You can use that water for cooling processes or for heating processes or irrigation. So where we're working now and looking for to work is in the manufacturing facility space.
Okay. Wonderful. So switching gears a little bit here. So you started when you were 21 with this project. So now you're not 21 anymore. What would you go back if you could tell your 21-year-old or maybe your 26-year-old self some advice that you have now? What would that advice be?
To do a little bit more planning and,
Okay.
and put the brakes a little.
So I love that. So what does that look like? What does planning look like? Is that strategic planning on how you want to grow your business?
Yeah, like when you go into a project, think more about like where do you see the project in 3 years, 5, 10 years, and think with a more long-term vision rather than short-term. This project looks great, like let's do it. Maybe the project by itself, it's a success, but then like you spend a lot of time into a business model that like long-term, it's not gonna like be as what you expected. So I think this is something that happened to me. Like I learned a lot about it because, as I mentioned, I was in the municipal solid waste from 2014 to 2017.
Mhm.
It's hard to say if I regret it or not. It was a good project. I learned a lot about it, but at the same time, it was 3 years that a portion of my time was distracted from water. So right now, I completely focused on water space. And I don't know if it was, I couldn't tell you if it was good or bad, that experience outside of the water.
That's fair. I mean, it's funny. I ask all my clients, potential clients, I'm like, what does your business look like when it's finished? And most people don't know. I'm like, okay, what's it look like in 10 years? And we do a whole planning session around this. Okay, to get to 10 years, where do we have to be in 3? To get to the 3-year goal, where do we have to be in 1? To get to the 1-year goal, what do we have to do? What 6 things do we have to do in the next quarter? Let's put those on our calendar so we actually get those accomplished. And that whole
Yeah.
planning aspect is one of the most powerful things you can do. And it seems so obvious, but if you don't put those important things on your calendar, you end up chasing the more of the urgent things versus the important things. Has that been your experience?
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes this is going out of focus. For example, that experience in the waste, even though it was a different like sector, different type of business, I did get a lot of learnings by working with this mentor of mine. And those learnings are very applicable to the water space and what I'm doing now. So it's not like I regret it. I don't know if talking to myself back then, maybe yeah, like focus a little bit more and not jump on any opportunity. And
It's funny though, it's easier said to maintain focus and on one project, but when you're aggressively growing and looking for the next opportunity, it's easy to say, hey, I want to do this instead. And I would say this, a business, whether it's water or whether it's a retail or whether it's some sort of government business or whatever that might be, or a service business, we all have certain tenets that are the same. And so the 3 years you spent learning about a different aspect of business itself is invaluable. And that learning can translate back into water or whatever else whatever awesome other things you end up accomplishing. So
yeah.
I think it was valuable. Okay, so tell me, if somebody wants to, what's the best way to reach out to you to potentially get information about what you do, or how's that whole process work? Because I mean, yeah, they can shoot you an email or whatever, but like, what's the process look like for a potential customer with you? How's that happen?
So we have a webpage. We're actually gonna bring out in the next couple of weeks an AI assistant to help our customers with their water treatment needs. So they could reach out via our webpage. There will be the AI assistant helping the end customers figure out like what can they do with the wastewater, or they can reach out to my email.
Wonderful. And what's your web? Can you give me your web page just so I can put it on here? But I'd like to have it audio as well.
Yes, the webpage is hydrosmgmt.com.
Very good. Very good. What's your company look like when it's finished?
Because we are working a lot on automation with the AI. A lot of what we did that took us a lot of took us some hours, days, weeks. Now it can be done like very quick with AI. So the turnaround, it's amazing what you can do with AI. So what we're looking for is having AI help us like create for our customers and for ourselves projects that water can be treated and reused. And then as a group, Hydros, we're focusing on working with financial institutions and investment so that we can help these customers to succeed, like implementing these projects.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, so it's, by the way, just as a little sidebar, you mentioned AI. What's been your experience with AI? Obviously, it saved you time, but my AI experience is it's garbage in, garbage out, and the smarter you are and how you direct AI, the smarter and the faster it learns.
Yeah, like we started like as we have been with the AI assistant for water. When we started, it's really garbage in, garbage out. what we've done is basically we put like all the data that we generated over the last 15 years, case studies, like calculations, designs into the AI system, so that what what it's generating, it's information that it's encompassed within certain frames that we've been designing.
And so that output, so you've got all this info in there, and then it can take all that data and learn from it and spit out outcomes or projected outcomes based on past performance or past.
Yeah, and we help our customers to like direct them to what information they need to get, like in their companies, or if it's for example, textile company, what type of lab analysis they need to do. So
yeah,
basically, it's also like guiding them through the process of wastewater treatment.
That's great. I love it. I love user-friendly. People can go and help themselves and learn first. And your whole journey with this company has to be a lot of, I mean, there has to be a significant amount of education, I'm guessing, for clients and for potential clients, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Juan, I've thoroughly enjoyed this. It's so intriguing to think about how this idea could literally be world changing, and I'm guessing that comes up when you think about your staff and your kind of vision of where you want your company to go, and that's a part of the way I'm guessing you also inspire your team and your investors, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, at the end we're working with water, which is something that like it's a molecule that like it's nature, it's for everyone. So I feel like what we're doing is good, and that makes us feel good about our work.
That's good. Yeah, you're helping. You actually can help the world with what you're doing, and that's a beautiful thing. So thanks for continuing to push forward and innovate, and help people do something they all need, and with something what we all absolutely have to have on a daily basis, and that's water. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Warren.
I thoroughly enjoyed our time together, and I wish you the best.
Same to you. Thank you very much.
Be good, Juan. See ya.